Hello there. They call me Mystery. Now, considering the fact that I'm always going on about revolutions, and it's the premise for my work, I thought it more than appropriate to actually explain it. What is a revolution? Like, we have an idea of what revolution is, like this cliched historic idea, or one from a dystopian future like the Hunger Games, etc. But what is a revolution really? Is it violent struggle and takeover, or about some fearless leader who seizes power? Surprisingly, neither. Let's find out what a revolution means, shall we?
My name is Mystery. For reasons unknown, I have been thrown back into the past almost 100 years, and this is my story.
The word revolution is twofold. People use it to describe an action or a historic event. So revolution either means to revolve around a point, like the Earth revolving around the sun, or a revolving door around its axis, or it can mean an event that changes society completely. In the modern sense, the meanings are separate, and therefore we don't think of them as the same. There are many words that have two meanings, and here is just another example. But that is the interesting thing. Revolution did come from the astronomy term meaning revolving around and back to the point of origin. The idea of a revolution, the event itself, was meant to be about returning to some previous arrangement. The people who first thought about revolutionizing their societies wanted to go back to some previous way of doing things, not progress forward to some new type of society. It was aristocrats and nobles who had lost privileges from the concentration of the powers of kings that wanted to go back to simpler times, where they had more authority. They wanted to revert back to a previous point of origin. This is the actual origin of the term revolution. It was the process of revolutionizing society, these revolutionary events themselves, that shifted the definition of revolution away from the idea of something that returns to an old way of doing things to the meaning we have today. Revolution now means changing the current social order. Revolution equals change. Many people associate revolution with violence, war, rebellion. But let's just be clear here. If you have a society run by a king and another person comes along and they decide they want to be king and they overthrow them in some violent takeover, that is not a revolution. That is a coup. Now let's say an angry population, tired of a tyrannical government, rises up in rebellion and overthrows their government and selects a new government in its place. That's not a revolution. There is no change in social order here, how society is organized, how it operates or runs in these examples. It's just replacing one leader for another, one government for another. Whether one ruler is just and true and the other is evil doesn't change the outcome. The system is still under the same type of rule. Violent power struggles against the establishment are not revolutionary, though don't get me wrong, violent struggle does seem to be a factor in most revolutions. Think the American Revolution, the French, the Russian, the Chinese, the Cuban, etc. All these coincided with war. So if revolution isn't the violence and more the change, what does that actually entail? Change will result in the reimagining of how a society should be structured and organized. Should there be classes? Should some have privileges and others not? Should there be laws and ethical codes running the society? Should things be done collectively or based individually? Who should make the decisions? Who should provide the direction? Will things be dictated or democratic? In a true revolution, these are the types of questions that are asked of the newly forming society. We did things like this in the past. This is what we hated. How shall we do things now? For example, in the French Revolution, the revolutionaries were mainly fed up with being controlled by kings, nobility, the church, who were better people by birthright. So they abolished the idea of class privilege by birthright. They got rid of the idea that some people are just better than those based on what family they were born into. They based their revolutionary society on the idea of equality, that all people are born equal. In the Russian Revolution, they believed it was unnecessary and backwards for the economy to be run based on the economic interests of the rich and their appointed puppets in government. So they looked to take control of business and industry and have it run based on societal needs, not private interests. These were both ways of reimagining the running of society, ways of revolutionizing how things had been done. These new ways, whatever they may be, are usually cemented into the new society by way of drafting up a new constitution and new laws of how things should be carried out. The US Constitution and the Bill of Rights provided basic rights and laws for how their free and democratic society would be organized after the American Revolution. This is truly the process of revolution, not a battle or a struggle, but when people come together and think about how to change society. This starts happening before any struggle, well before, and it can go on well afterwards. It took the French, after storming the Bastille, the event that many confuse as being the entire French Revolution, 2 years to create a constitution for their newly revolutionary society. And then it was rewritten numerous times in the years that followed. Revolution is really an ongoing process to institute how a new society should be carried out. Importantly, it is based on trial and error. It's not some perfect, polished product that is triumphantly delivered to the people. This is a myth, one that should be dispelled so that the fantasy is taken out of the word revolution and people can take it seriously. Because it is something that we need to start talking about now in order to save humanity and the planet. Revolutions just don't happen overnight. They require a lot of work and preparation. Now, if you thought this was interesting, please like and comment and subscribe for more. Please, there is much to learn before we can unlock the revolution. Remember, I am, you are, we are a mystery.